How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today we're taking a look at some of the operations coming into World of Tanks console as part of this next week. Obviously, there's a new update coming out tomorrow, a few different things coming in. We did go over some of the previous update information in terms of the fixes and patches on one of my previous videos, so if you want to check those out that are coming in tomorrow, then you can click on the other video at the end of this one. Or I'll leave it in the description below, so if you want to have a look at that later, then yeah, go ahead. I wanted to kind of talk to you as well about these silver operations and all of the XP bonuses, whether I think personally they're good for the game or not, and we'll kind of go through that at the end of this video. But first off, let's take a look at one of the week-long bonus operations. This is for just 1 week, obviously. Starting on the 2nd of March, ending on the 9th of March, and it is basically a 25% XP modifier for any battle that you deal 500 damage or more. So for any of those of you who are grinding some of the tech tree tanks and you really want to grind out that last bit of XP, then basically you'll get 25% extra XP every single game. That will obviously stack with the previous ones that you can have, like the premium time where you get 1.5 times XP, so you'll actually get 1.75 times, and then obviously you can add the boosts as well. So if you've got boosters on, times 3 XP, etc., you'll actually get a little bit extra than that. What do I think about this one? I'll kind of talk to you after the next one, I think, because the other operation that we have is obviously assignment Echo. Now this is the 5th one of the year in terms of the assignments. There's usually 12, I believe, in the year. I think there's one every month, but no, actually that can't be right. I think it's probably one every 2 weeks or something like that. But yeah, this is I don't know. I kind of think they keep giving us loads of silver rather than actually just fixing the silver economy a little bit better. I mean, they have reduced the consumables cost by 50%, which is always good. But I don't think that is yet solved. I think that there's a few things that need kind of tidying up. But as you can see from this operation Echo, or assignment Echo, whatever you want to call it, you need to earn 7, 15, 25, 40, 60,000 XP, and for doing that you'll pick up probably you're looking in the range of 190, 200, probably in the range of 750,000 silver for completing that. So grinding out 60k XP will grant you an extra 725,000 silver once you've completed it. Do I think that releasing all of these different things straight away are always good? Not necessarily. I think that, adding so many operations where you're just getting silver, you're just getting XP upon XP, you're getting commander XP, it kind of devalues the grinding aspect that a lot of people actually like about World of Tanks. I think, yeah, it's good for new players that have joined the game and they can kind of push through the tech trees. But a lot of the time they don't have the experience as they get higher up through the tiers to be able to kind of compete with some of the older players that have learnt the game a little bit more. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be able to come up against experienced players, because on any game there's obviously people that come on for 10 games a week and there's people that come on for 1,000 games a week. But I do think that when you're kind of cultivating this whole progression to tier 10 like as fast as possible, it kind of devalues the whole grinding, purchasing tech tree tanks and really going through them and stuff like that. I think that it's a bit it's just a bit rubbish at the moment, and I think it kind of started when the string theory operation started coming out on World of Tanks, and I don't know that it's really that balanced in terms of balancing the matchmaker, because obviously if you've previously a lot of newer players had to you needed to play 1,000 games before you got the tier 10, whereas now I'm finding people with 300 games, people with 400 games having a tier 10 already easily. just because of the boost you get from Season Pass, the Season Pass tanks that you get if you complete it. You've got loads of different operations that are giving you extra XP. You've got String Theory, you've got these bonus kind of weekend XP bonuses. You've got weekends where it's 5 times XP on your first win of the day. You've got tons of operations like that, which used to come around once in a while, but now it seems like every week it's either XP or Silver or Commander XP every single week. Now, I don't have necessarily a problem with it, but I do think that they need to keep in mind that, if you're pushing newer players, you have to think about the new player experience. Pushing people towards tier 10 because the low tiers aren't very balanced doesn't mean that your game is good at the low tiers. Do you know what I mean? It's like, just like instead of balancing it on its own, making them skip towards the tier 10 straight away doesn't mean that your game at the low tier isn't broken, which I definitely think it is. At the moment, I think there needs to definitely be having a look at some of the low tier tanks and some of the low tier grinds. I think especially with stock tank, instead of progressing people through, they need to really look at what guns and different things that they have on the tanks, because realistically on console, a lot of the stock tanks are really bad, and when you're facing a lot of premiums that obviously are maxed out, then it's really not that fun. What would I recommend doing with your silver that you earn on these operations, and what would I recommend doing when they come up with these operations when you earn more XP? Personally, as a more experienced player to the game, I've done 20,000 battles. It's quite a lot. And it was a lot more back in the day because obviously games lasted longer, so technically the amount of the games that I have kind of would be equivalent to more games now, means that it's kind of given me the opportunity to kind of give a good insight as to what I would do. So with this extra XP and with the Season Pass double XP that you get after you complete it, and all of the silver operations, what I'd be doing is focusing right now, before the season goes out, is to grind through any of your stock tank tech tree tanks. So make sure that you prioritise those if you're grinding through your lines for the next week, because as soon as the new season hits, obviously your double XP from having the season completed disappears. This operation will disappear where you get less XP, which means that you'll just be stuck with your standard premium XP bonus, unless they bring out another operation where you get more XP or 5 times daily double. But basically you want to be maximising your tech tree tanks and where they are in the progression of the grind, because obviously a stock tech tree tank, which is one that hasn't been upgraded at all, is worse than one that's been upgraded substantially to the top packages. Now, what would I do in terms of your silver? What would I save it for? Obviously you want to save your equipment for your tech tree tanks that are stock, so that you can instantly buy every single low tier package on it, because you don't want to be stock. You don't want to have researched the upgrades and then not actually bought the upgrades, because playing stock tanks is not fun. On World of Tanks you will be just flat out worse than when you're fully upgraded. That's the difference between premium tanks and tech tree tanks, is that when you buy a premium, it's pretty much a fully blown tier 8 that's fully upgraded. So that's why people enjoy playing premiums, I guess, because they don't have to grind through all of this like rubbish starting tank and stuff like that. And I think that if Wargaming looked at some of these stock tanks, there's a lot of them that are absolutely dreadful, and kind of buffed the packages on them or made them a bit more usable. It's like a lot of the tier 7s actually have like tier 5 guns, which I think is actually just it amazes me how they can warrant using a stock tier 5 gun on a tier 7 or a tier 8. It amazes me, and I would 100% look at the packages that you can get on the tanks. I get that it's historically accurate, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is actually historically accurate, because like this game, you've got the machine, you've got stuff like that. Fair enough if you want to put in the package, but just make the other packages free. So like, yeah, you can play the stock one if someone really wants to play a tank that is just flat out worse, and because it's historically accurate. But then also have the actual top gun from the previous tier on all of the tanks that lead on from that at least. Because yeah, it can be really struggling when you're playing something like a Centurion, like stock as well. Centurion 1 stock. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the stock tanks, and I think that kind of doing that. I know that you guys have been asking as well about XP, free XP. What do you do with free XP? Should I research my packages as soon as I can? Should I accelerate packages if I can? My advice to that would be 100% accelerate if it's your first couple of packages on your tank, because those are usually the worst ones. If you know that one tank is specifically worse stock than another tank, say if you've got to get the next guns on one, whereas one comes with the top gun, or the top gun, there are no other guns that you can actually get on the tank, then 100% focus on the one that you have to upgrade the gun and stuff like that, because that's more important, and it will be just worse, the one without the gun. I think that's pretty much everything I really wanted to cover in this video. It's not too much of a long one, but I did want to just kind of discuss about the silver and these earn operations. I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on it too, because, you know, I think it's important that we kind of give our opinion. Yes, I like the fact that we get XP ops, obviously, because it means I don't have to play terrible tanks. But when I think about like the matchmaker and in terms of new players and their experience and stuff like that, getting boosted up towards the tiers where, you know, veterans are playing around is not necessarily very fun for them. It's going to be harder for them to actually learn the game. And I think if you're trying to make it a really nice, new player friendly area, then that's not necessarily something that I'd recommend doing all of the time. I think there's a time and a place where you can add operations like this, but definitely not as many as we've been getting. I get the fact that the silver ones have been because the silver economy has been messed up, but yeah, I'm glad that they've kind of worked that out. Other than that, I don't want to ramble anymore. I won't keep your time anymore. If you do want to check out any more videos on my channel after this one, then you can go ahead. There will be a link to the previous news video that I did on screen right now, which is the fix list that's coming in tomorrow, and then there will be a random video as well. So I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed, make sure you do, to stay up to date with all the latest World of Tanks console news, and be sure to check out the next video that comes along. Other than that, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.